This is Levon Helpenstein, and this is my tutorial video for painting an Ork Boy. I've already base coated the orc skin in orchide shade. Next, I'm taking dark green, wiping the majority of it off of my brush so that I can dry brush it on top of that, covering it almost completely except for the deeper recesses. The dry brushing enables the colors to blend easier. Next I dry brush with snot green, followed by goblin green. Each time I make sure to cover less of the model than I did the time before. By the time that you dry brush with goblin green, you're really only hitting the high points of the muscles, knuckles, or face line. Next I take a finer tipped brush and I base coat all of the leather straps, boots, and armbands in Beastie Brown. I then go back and dry brush leather brown on top of all the leather parts to give it a much more natural leather look. I then also base coat his entire pants in leather brown as well. Next I heavily dry brush Commando Khaki over the pants, making sure to cover everything well except for the folds in the pants, leaving those a little darker to help with shadow. I then base coat his teeth and the tooth on his earring, scorched brown. Afterwards, I go back and using Sunburst Yellow, I paint heavily at the tips but then taper off towards the roots, leaving some brown showing at the bottom. After that, I go back with Bleached Bone and do the same again. This orc also has a nasty scar on his forehead. I'm going to highlight the ridges of this scar with bleached bone as well. Now I'm going to base coat all of his metal parts, his gun, sword, and metal plates with brassy brass. Next, I heavily dry brush bolt gun metal on top of all the metal parts, making sure to leave a hint of the brass showing through. Next, I take a very fine tip brush and I paint his one good eye bloody red, as well as touch up a few parts. For the final color, I take cold gray and I completely paint his shirt. Now for the finishing touches, I take the Thraka green wash and I completely cover his skin in it. This green wash will help the transition in the colors from the dark green at the recesses to the bright green at the top. I then take the Bedab black wash and cover all the metal parts and his flesh in order to help dull down the brightness and make the recesses darker. Finally, I take the Devlin mud wash, which is very dark brown, and I take it over all of his leather parts to help blend the browns together and all of his clothing to help dingy them out and make them look dirty. After this is dry, I then just give it a quick spray with a matte finish to help dull the shine from all the washes.